Welcome to an hour of timeless Stoic wisdom. In this video, we delve into the teachings of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, philosophers who offer guidance towards resilience, peace, and inner strength. Let's explore the profound insights that have the power to transform your life. Scene transition to the first chapter. Chapter 1. Facing life's challenges with dignity. Have you ever faced a challenging situation or personal crisis that seemed to freeze your world while everyone else carried on? Marcus Aurelius, the ancient philosopher, provides wisdom for moments like these. He advised, "Begin each day by telling yourself, 'Today I shall be meeting with interference, ingratitude, insolence, disloyalty, ill will, and selfishness, all due to the offender's ignorance of what is good or evil.'" This quote reveals a crucial truth. No matter our difficulties, the world moves on, often indifferent to our struggles. By embracing this reality with a Stoic mindset, we can navigate life's ups and downs with grace and resilience. Marcus Aurelius encourages us to start each day with realistic expectations. He anticipates that we may encounter negative behaviors from others and attributes these actions to ignorance rather than malice. This perspective helps us respond with patience and compassion, maintaining our composure amidst challenges. In times of adversity, expecting the world to pause and cater to us is natural, but unrealistic. People will continue their routines, often unaware of our struggles. This isn't a sign of uncaring but a reminder that we must prioritize our well-being and take proactive steps to heal and protect ourselves. Our journey through personal crisis is ultimately a solitary one. While support systems are valuable, they cannot entirely shield us from our deepest personal reckonings. By cultivating our philosophies, values, and coping skills, we become more resilient and self-reliant. Embracing this approach helps us face life's challenges with dignity, just as a sturdy tree bends with the wind yet remains unbroken. Chapter 2. Conquering feelings to live the life of your dreams. Have you ever felt overwhelmed by discouragement or a lack of motivation, making it hard to take action? Remember this. It doesn't matter whether you feel okay or not. Life isn't going to wait for you. This straightforward reminder carries profound Stoic wisdom. The Stoics recognize that while we cannot control every situation, we can control our responses. Marcus Aurelius noted, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Life continues to move forward regardless of our emotional state, highlighting that our ability to shape our lives comes from within, not from external factors. Waiting for the perfect emotional state before taking action can be paralyzing. Stoic philosophy teaches us to tap into our inner drive, regardless of fleeting feelings. Consider a marathon runner facing exhaustion. A Stoic mindset would remind them that their feelings are temporary, and that perseverance is within reach through determination and discipline. In our own lives, we face metaphorical walls of resistance. Stoic wisdom encourages us to acknowledge our emotions without letting them dictate our actions. By anchoring ourselves in our core values and aspirations, we cultivate resilience and purpose, moving forward despite emotional obstacles. So next time you feel unmotivated, reconnect with your deeper why, your core values and goals. Life flows on regardless, but by activating your inner drive, you regain control over your journey. Taking that first step, even when it's challenging, allows momentum to carry you forward, aligning your actions with your aspirations. Chapter 3. Self-freedom through aloneness. In our social world, the idea of being alone can evoke discomfort or fear. Yet, ancient wisdom teaches us, if you will force them to stay with you, they will not. They will leave you alone. So learn the art of spending time alone. The Stoics understood that true peace and fulfillment come from within. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "Our pain and distress stem not from external events, but from our judgments and perspectives." This insight empowers us to find contentment even in solitude. Consider a valued relationship ending or a loved one departing. The initial pain is natural, but Stoic wisdom invites us to examine our judgments. Are we distressed because of the loss or because we attached our happiness to someone else's presence? Recognizing that our worth is inherent and not dependent on others helps us embrace solitude as an opportunity for self-discovery and growth. Solitude is not a state of lack, but a chance to connect with our core values, creative expression, and inner stillness. While human connection is important, cultivating a deep friendship with ourselves allows us to share our true selves with others from a place of strength and wholeness. By embracing aloneness, we open ourselves to profound self-knowledge and creative potential. Solitude becomes a sanctuary where we align with our values, heal past wounds, and ignite new passions. This practice leads to self-sufficiency and inner freedom, a hallmark of Stoic wisdom. Chapter 4: Managing Your Emotions. In life, few virtues are as invaluable as the ability to remain calm under pressure. As the wise say, only a calm person can handle any situation. Cultivating this calmness is key to navigating life's challenges with grace and wisdom. The ancient Stoic philosophers deeply understood this principle. They recognized that while we cannot always control external events, we have the power to determine how we respond internally, through our judgments, emotions, and actions. Marcus Aurelius encapsulated this wisdom perfectly. If any external thing pains you, it is not this thing that disturbs you, but your judgment about it. Our suffering and agitation arise not from the situation itself, but from the perceptions and emotional reactions we attach to it. Imagine being stuck in a massive traffic jam after a long, tiring day. For many, this scenario triggers frustration, anger, and anxiety. However, the Stoics would argue that the traffic jam is a neutral event. It is our judgments about being delayed or inconvenienced that create emotional turmoil. By objectively observing the situation without letting our mental narratives take over, we can realize that we still hold the power to choose our internal state. While being delayed can be frustrating, we can approach it with equanimity, redirecting our focus to productive tasks, meditation, or simply using the downtime constructively. This practice of the Stoics involves separating objective facts from the emotional baggage we often attach to them. Instead of succumbing to conditioned emotional responses, we can train ourselves to pause, analyze situations impartially, and consciously decide how to react. As Epictetus wisely said, "Man is disturbed not by things, but by the principles and notions which he forms concerning things." By reframing these principles, we reclaim our sovereignty over our emotions. With dedicated practice, maintaining an inner calm amidst external turbulence becomes second nature. Our emotions may rise and fall like waves, but the depths of our consciousness remain tranquil. From this center of mastery over our internal state, we can respond with poise, clarity, and wisdom. Hot-headed reactions give way to thoughtful choices, and anxiety dissipates as we distinguish between events and our stories about them. The Stoics teach us that the most profound freedom lies in emotional sovereignty, remaining impervious to outer influences that could lead us to bitterness, fear, or imbalance. With unwavering calm as our core, we stay open, resilient, and ready to face any challenge. I encourage you to make it your goal to master this profound skill of remaining calm in all circumstances. Observe yourself with honest self-awareness, identify the thought patterns and emotional reflexes that disrupt your poise, and replace them with the Stoic practice of separating facts from judgments. Use conscious breathing, meditation, and philosophical reflection to maintain your calm. From this poised place, you become unstoppable. No chaos, struggle, or frustration can impede someone who has mastered their internal realm. Imagine how differently you would approach life's challenges if you could remain calm and centered. Stressful deadlines would become opportunities for focus and determination. Difficult people and situations would trigger compassionate patience rather than anger or hurt. Each adversity would be a chance to embody your highest principles. This is the promise of unshakable calm, the ability to navigate life's ups and downs as the sovereign master of your inner kingdom. By embracing this path of emotional mastery, you unlock your fullest potential, facing each day with grace and wisdom, impervious to chaos or conflict. The Stoics offer us the teachings to realize this powerful freedom, a transcendent existence where each moment is lived from our highest, most unwavering self. Embrace this wisdom, and you will achieve an existence marked by unshakable calm. Chapter 5: Breaking the Bond of Expectation. Building Unshakable Relationships. Expectation. Building unshakable relationships. Have you ever felt profoundly disappointed or let down by someone close to you, perhaps a friend or loved one failed to live up to your expectations profoundly, as so you've experienced one of life's most painful disappointments, the heartbreak of unmet expectations in our most cherished relationships? The wise adage reminds us, expectations with people end up in disappointments, so stop expecting anything from anyone. While this may sound harsh initially, it contains a powerful wisdom that can unshackle us from needless suffering. The ancient Stoic philosophers understood that many of our heaviest burdens come from the chains of expectations we bind ourselves with, especially regarding how we think others should behave or treat us. By dropping these self-imposed expectations, we paradoxically open the door to more fulfilling and unshakable bonds. Think of a time when a loved one deeply let you down, perhaps through betrayal, selfishness, or simply failing to show up as you'd hoped in a pivotal moment. Much pain likely stemmed from their actions, and the rift between your expectations and reality. You had envisioned them behaving differently toward you based on your concept of how they should act within that relationship. The Stoics would counsel that while we cannot control others' behavior, we always retain authority over our expectations and mindsets. When we cling too tightly to rigid expectations of how others must be or treat us, we inevitably breed resentment when reality deviates from that ideal. However, by releasing those fixed expectations, we create more spaciousness for imperfect human relations to unfold authentically. We are open to accepting others as they are, appreciating reasonable boundaries and limitations rather than constantly feeling betrayed by an inability to meet our predetermined conditions. This doesn't mean accepting abuse or lacking healthy standards. It means loosening our white-knuckle grip on how we insist relationships must look or feel, allowing for the naturally be and flow of human connecting and disconnecting. In this way, we reduce self-created suffering while cultivating more graceful, resilient bonds within this spaciousness of non-expectation. We paradoxically find greater appreciation and gratitude for those in our lives. Each person's positive actions and expressions of care become received as gifts to be cherished rather than obligatory payments demanded from rigid expectations. Our relationships transform from transactional ones mired in disappointment to transcendent ones rooted in wise acceptance of our human imperfections. We see each other with more empathy and compassion rather than through the distorted lens of unmet demands. Peace replaces needless anguishing over familiar human failings. All relationships will inevitably encounter this. Philosophy applies to close interpersonal connections and all areas involving other humans. We free ourselves from endless disappointment and frustration by releasing grandiose expectations of how companies must service, whether bureaucracies operate smoothly or whether public systems function optimally. We retain our agency to advocate for positive change, but unshackle our composure from the unrealistic idea of perfection. The Stoics offer us a profound emotional liberation, to be liberated from the self-created prison of our lofty expectations of others. When we release that weight of demanded perfectionism, we create the spaciousness to truly discover the gift of human relating in all its beautiful yet imperfect messiness, so I encourage you to take this teaching to heart. Reflect on areas in your life where you bound yourself to the expectations of others. Notice the resulting chains of disappointment, anger, or hurt when reality naturally diverges from those rigid conditions. Then practice the Stoic art of loosening the grip, opening with grace to accept people and situations as they unfold rather than demanding they conform to your preconceived ideals. Exchange expectations for presence and discernment. Cherish loved ones for who they are today, not who you wish they could be. Above all, extend compassion to others trapped in their human limitations, and yourself for clinging to expectations that breed suffering. Ultimately, we all walk this earth as imperfect beings, doing our best to connect and belong. When you relinquish demands and open yourself to life's realities with wisdom and acceptance, you liberate yourself to experience relationships in their full depth and beauty. You are open to receiving each interaction and person as they are, not as you insist they should be. This is the path of you unshakable bonds, relationships grounded in authentic presence and unconditional grace. So let the Stoics' insights unshackle you from expectations today. Free yourself to embrace all relationships with the loving serenity of one who has released all demands. You'll find the genuine, unshakable connection your heart longs for in that liberated spaciousness. Patience reveals the truth. Give them the time, they will show. Chapter 6. Patience reveals the truth. You their true face. This simple wisdom cuts through the noise of first impressions, snap judgments, and rushing to conclusions about others' character. The ancient Stoics understood that true discernment requires patience and accepting reality as it unfolds. How often have we been too quick to judge a person's worth or dismiss their potential based on limited interactions or superficial observations? In our haste, we construct narratives about who they are from mere glimpses behind the masks we all inevitably wear in new companies or circumstances. However, the Stoic path reminds us that a person's true face, their authentic nature, values, and depth of character can only be revealed across the breadth of time and experiences. We must resist the temptation to make hasty appraisals, remaining open and withholding absolute verdicts prematurely. We cultivate true wisdom by giving others the spaciousness of patience, allowing their actions and choices to accumulate and reveal who they are at their core. This isn't about excusing poor behavior, but recognizing that the human psyche possesses many dimensions that unfurl gradually, especially in new relationships and dynamics. In the silence of suspending judgment, of extending the courtesy of unhurried observation without racing to conclusions, the truth emerges organically. We witness how people navigate joys, conflicts, and hardships, the tests of character that unmask one's deepest values and integrity. The Stoics remind us that this patient discernment is ultimately an act of kindness to ourselves by not getting mired in the folly of rash judgments that often miss the mark, and to others by offering them the dignity of being seen wholly across life's movements. So embrace open patience when assessing new people or relationships. Allow the passage of experiences and choices to unveil one's innermost nature slowly, like a seed blooming at its own perfect pace. Resist the impulse to prematurely define others or cast dispersions before their entire essence has the space to blossom. You may be surprised by who they reveal themselves to be once the temporal veils are lifted and their most accurate core is laid bare. Through the movements of life and trial, what seemed initially off-putting transforms when met with Stoic patience and the belief that everyone deserves the courtesy of authentic, unveiling wisdom. Flowers are in the stillness of unhurried discernment, unhindered by reflexive denunciations or simplistic narratives. Embrace this path and witness what manifests when you give them the time, the beauty of another's truth face, gracefully emerging, becoming a sovereign being. You. Chapter 7. Becoming a sovereign being. Will have a peaceful life when you mind your own business. These potent words cut straight to the heart of the profound practice of cultivating an unperturbable inner life. The Stoics understood that true peace arises not from perfectly controlled circumstances but from mastering the domain of one's consciousness. How much of our discontent, agitation, and dissatisfaction stems from the human tendency toward excessive meddling in others' affairs and situations beyond our influence in vain attempts to subjugate the uncontrollable forces of the cosmos. We leech away our tranquility by expending precious energy fixating upon and trying to reshape what is firmly outside our jurisdiction. Yet, as the ancient wisdom states, you will have a peaceful life when you mind your own business within. This directive lies a powerful invitation to sovereignty, to draw a clear boundary around the precious plot of our being and to tend to it masterfully. What could be our business more thoroughly than the landscape of our mind, our intentional thoughts, our chosen actions, our characters, our judicious use of willpower? This domain of our coherent consciousness is the true frontier over which we must assert wise dominion, rather than needlessly frittering it away in attempt to conquer the entire churning universe. The Stoics knew this truth, that the seeking soul cannot know peace by trying to control the uncontrollable external swirling endlessly beyond our sphere of influence. True freedom and serenity arise from wholeheartedly minding our own business, the profound business of curating our inner sanctuary, intentionally, ethically, and in harmony with nature's unshakable fluencies. By steadfastly focusing our care and work upon this most intimate jurisdictional domain of our inherent beingness, we paradoxically become impervious to the tumults of temporary conditions. We no longer find our peace derailed by that beyond our authorship or management. That which was the source of so much suffering and strain becomes rendered inert as we vigilantly refuse to lend it any more of our precious peace and presence. With this as our steadfast locus, we cease leaking our sovereignty outward in futile dispersions, reclaiming it to curate the only sphere truly ours, to influence the composition of our inner life, the garden of our thoughts, emotions, values, and deeds. What was once entangled in the distractions and distortions of trying to subdue the unsubdued able becomes coherent, unified, and grounded. We discover that when our whole being is authentically minding its own business in this way, consuming dramas and vortices beyond our rightful jurisdictional reach cannot help but fall away like dispelled mirages. We abide at the calm, still center, ordering our soul in poised resonance while outer winds howl indifferently. This is the secret of the peaceful life revealed through the Stoics. Tend to your core being first and foremost, diligently weeding the domains of thought and action that comprise yourself. Authority, anything beyond this should be released with a peaceful indifference, not grasped at or absorbed into your sphere until disturbed. You will find power, clarity, and liberation in this practice. You now stand sovereign over your inner territory, even as ceaseless change swirls outside its walls, no longer squandering yourself on trying to subjugate externals. You have reclaimed the ability to curate with intention, wisdom, and grace the domain of your sacred being, and with that your life cannot help but become genuinely peaceful. Being worthy, they will care about you only when you become successful otherwise. Chapter 8, Being Worthy. Nobody cares. This sobering truth can sting, revealing how inconsistent external validation and attention from others can be. However, the Stoics offer an empowering perspective, as Epictetus taught. If you want to improve, reject such reasonings as these: if I neglect my affairs, I shall not have a maintenance. If I do not seor my servant, he will be good for nothing. For it is better to die of hunger, to be free from grief and fear, than to live in affluence with perturbation. The Stoics recognize that tying our self-worth to external factors, like others' approval or perceived success, is a recipe for suffering and lack of inner freedom. When we orient our identity around such conditional acceptance, we become enslaved, constantly anxious about maintaining an illusion to earn society's favor. A more resilient path is to root yourself validation and sense of purpose within your core values and principles. As Marcus Aurelius reflected, if you work at that which is before you, following right Reason seriously, vigorously, calmly, without allowing anything else to distract you. You will live joyfully by anchoring your identity in your chosen thoughts, efforts, and intentional actions each day, pursuits aligned with your moral compass. You become liberated from the hunger for others' fleeting admiration. Their approval may come and go, but your peace and fulfillment remain unwavering when you orient it toward embodying your highest virtues. Let the Stoics be your guide in cultivating this unshakable inner source validation. Interrogate where you look externally for self-worth and practice re-entering it within in your cultivation of wisdom, resilience, generosity, and other virtues that ethical philosophy reveals as the authentic sources of profound worthiness. As you become more firmly grounded in the authority of your values, guided being external opinions matter less. You radiate a calm self-assuredness as you ethically and productively work at what is before you, and in that congruent, unsaved flow state you paradoxically become highly effective and actualize. So let these words be a wake-up call to unhook from the exhausting pursuit of perpetual external validation. Root yourself instead within the soil of your coherent philosophy and virtuous action. There you reclaim your innate unconditional self-worth, a priceless jewel infinitely more brilliant than any fleeting form of success defined by fickle others. Sovereign Garden, Strangers. Chapter 9. Sovereign Garden, Strangers. Noise. Most people don't know even what is happening in your life, but they are still here to give you advice. Stop listening to their advice. How much of our mental sovereign and inner clarity have we ceded away by failing to honor this wisdom? All too often, we let the unsolicited, uninformed advice of others penetrate the sacred garden of our discernment about what is best for us. As Seneca taught in his letters, he is a great person who does not crave the praise of the crowd. Show me someone who is not moved by the blame or the praise of the multitude. He has made great progress towards self-mastery and self-control. The Stoics understood that genuine mastery flows from maintaining jurisdictional integrity over one's being, carefully discerning what voices and influences to allow into one's private counsel and which to exclude firmly. What do most people truly know about the intimate details, histories, and contexts shaping your life? Their advice is often contaminated by ignorance about the nuances of your particular being and circumstances. Yet, if we do not remain vigilantly sovereign, we let their muddled pronouncements breach our space, polluting our hard-won clarity. This doesn't make them bad people, simply uninitiated into the rich tapestries of your soul's ecosystem. They would ignorantly trample over the delicate, cultivated arrangements you've so carefully composed to your life journey and self-knowledge. Even with positive intentions, their meddling invites disorder and disharmony. What need is there? Asked Marcus Aurelius. To weep over parts of life, for the whole must one day be laid aside. The key lies in realizing that unsolicited advice comes from a limited vantage, focused only on fragments rather than the gorgeous cohesion of your whole path, which you alone have had a visceral, felt experience of composing and navigating. Thus, the wise response is to politely but decisively refuse entry to such voices until you have explicitly invited them into the chambers of your discernment. Allow their noises to dissipate like gibberish whispers at your sovereign gate, honoring that you alone remain most initiated into the intimate mysteries of your life's sacred unfolding. From that centered place of healthy boundaries around your jurisdictional integrity, you may find even the act of humbly seeking advice to be transformed. You now approach it with sovereign discernment, calling in only the most trustworthy and relevant voices to harmonize with your journey rather than impulsively letting all opinions pour in chaotically like a city's ambient noise pollution. As Epictetus advised, the antidote is to make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your power lies in diligently cultivating the inner territory of your life's direction and embodying your deepest values daily. All else effortlessly falls away like leaves. With this focused intentionality, by heeding these Stoic insights, you liberate yourself from the ceaseless din of unsolicited and under informative space of authority over your sovereign path, your life emerges as the harmonious masterpiece, and it was ever meant to blossom into the wisdom of chosen. Chapter 10. The wisdom of chosen mentors. Mentors, people who aren't living a life that you want to live, don't take their advice. These blunt words cut through the constant noise of unsolicited guidance that often clouds our spiritual journey. They remind us to be fiercely discerning about whose influence we allow to shape our lives. The ancient Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught there is only one way to happiness, and that is by making yourself conform to the laws of nature, to live with life as it is. He knew that true fulfillment arises from aligning ourselves with the sacred unfolding of nature and reason, not for mindlessly adopting the misguided perspectives of others. Indeed, most people move through this world steeped in delusion and ignorance, and live profoundly out of harmony with nature's coherent patterns. Their advice inevitably reflects these distorted lenses, pulling us further from our highest truth and ideal paths rather than clarifying them. As Marcus Aurelius philosophized, the universe is change, our life is what our thoughts make it. When we allow the small minds and unexamined beliefs of others to permeate our thinking, we lose authorship over crafting a life of profound alignment and purpose. The Stoics were radical about reminding us that we must be stalwart protectors of our sovereign interior realm, ruthlessly filtering what narratives and belief systems we let inscribe upon the pristine spaces of our consciousness. The advice of those sleepwalking through inauthentic lives can only ever amount to regurgitated detritus, antithetical to our actualization. This doesn't make such people bad or wrong. They haven't yet awoken to cultivate the clarity required to serve as influential mentors for the journey you are called to. Their intentions close their eyes to the reality that their influence may be more of a disorienting matrix than an empowering catalyst. Seneca reminded his students we should listen with reserve and skepticism to those who do not offer their own lives as a model. This reserve and discernment beckons us to rigorously align ourselves only with the illuminating wisdom of those already inhabiting the virtuous, unconflicted, and thoughtful existence we aspire to. These rarefied souls demonstrate the art of lightcraft through their very presence and embodied actions. Their advice attains the utmost integrity precisely because it arises from their congruence with life's deepest harmonies. The Stoics modeled this themselves, imbibing the revolutionary philosophies that granted them access to eternal human truths, while rejecting the conventional ignorance that burrs unspeakable suffering. We too must have the bravery to assertively turn away from the contaminating inputs that don't resonate with our ideal paths and allow only the pristine vectors of mentorship that prop our heroic flourishing. So interrogate whose voices you've allowed to dictate your aims and means thus far. Cast off the stagnating guidance of those still slumbering through inauthentic lives, disavowing those self-appointed authorities, modeling the very antipathy of what you create your existential masterpiece around. Instead, become a purposeful seeker and devotee of the rare voices singing the frequencies of your highest becoming. Welcome only the sage counsel emanating from those already grounded in the virtuous art of living the intentional, unconflicted, and philosophically coherent life to which you feel called at your core. Let this quote's crude wisdom be your summons into ruthless discernment about what influences you imbibe. Each stream you allow into your inner ecology permanently shapes the garden you're cultivating, the life you're crafting through the saccharine creativity of your consciousness and daily choices. The Stoics illuminated the way by imbibing only what was whole and accurate, while courageously leaving the rest. If you too walk that path of radical discernment about your influences, the magnificence that blossom in your life's unfolding cannot be anything other than a breathtaking masterpiece of beauty, virtue, and realignment with nature's grand choreography. Letting go, embracing. Chapter 11. Letting go, embracing change. Have you ever felt upset because something important in your life changed unexpectedly? Perhaps a friend moved away, your favorite team lost, or a long-awaited plan was canceled. These changes can be challenging, but they are a natural part of life. The Stoic philosophers understood this deeply. They taught us that accepting and embracing change is essential to living a peaceful and fulfilling life. As the Stoic Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that while we can't control everything that happens to us, we can control how we respond. Instead of dwelling on the changes we can't avoid, we can view them as opportunities for growth and learning. Reflect on a time when something didn't go as planned. Maybe you felt disappointed initially, but then you found a new friend, discovered a new hobby, or learned something valuable about yourself. These positive outcomes might not have happened if everything had gone according to your original plan. By letting go of how you think things should be, you open yourself up to new possibilities and experiences. Another Stoic philosopher, Seneca, wisely said, "Every new beginning comes from another beginning's end." This means that when one chapter closes, it makes way for a new one to begin. Just as the changing seasons bring new growth after winter's end, changes in our lives can lead to new and better experiences, even if we can't see them right away. By letting go of what we can't control, we can focus on what we can control, our actions and attitudes. For example, if a friend moves away, you can focus on maintaining your connection with them, making new friends, and enjoying your hobbies and activities. While it's natural to feel sadness, shifting your focus to what you can do helps you move forward positively. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, wrote, "The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it." Change is a constant part of life, but we have the power to shape our experiences through our thoughts and attitudes. By viewing change as a normal part of life and seeking the good in it, we can live more peacefully and happily. Imagine building a sandcastle on the beach. You work hard to create it just the way you want, but then the tide comes in and washes it away. You might feel frustrated at first, but understanding that the tide is a natural part of the beach can help you let go of your disappointment and enjoy building a new sandcastle. Similarly, in life, letting go of our attachment to how things should be allows us to embrace and make the most of what is. Practicing gratitude is another powerful way to embrace change. When we focus on what we're thankful for, it becomes easier to see the positives in new situations. Perhaps you've lost something important, but you still have many other things to be grateful for, like your health, family, or favorite activities. Gratitude helps shift our focus from what we've lost to what we still have and what's possible in the future. Remember, everyone experiences change. You are not alone in facing new and sometimes difficult situations. Talking to friends, family, or mentors about your feelings can provide new perspectives and support. They might have their own stories of dealing with change that can inspire and comfort you. So, take the Stoic wisdom to heart. Understand that change is a natural and unavoidable part of life. You can find peace and happiness by letting go of what you can't control and embracing new beginnings. Remember the words of the Stoics. "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." You have the power to shape your own experiences through your thoughts and attitudes. Embrace change, seek the good in every situation, and discover a life full of new and exciting possibilities.